Hey guys! In today's video we have a bit of a short full body flow with a little bit of focus in on the core and the shoulders. So it's going to be mostly kneeling poses today. So we'll begin kneeling on our mat, sitting back on our heels. We'll take 3 deep centering breaths here. You can close down the eyes if you like, or just gaze at the ground, or keep your eyes open. Inhaling through the nose and exhaling out the nose. Inhaling, lengthening the breath a bit, filling the belly all the way, and exhaling. One more deep breath, and then on your next exhale, flutter your eyes open, and we'll just bring some movement to the arms to warm up the shoulders a bit. So doing some arm circles, forwards, big circles, and then going the opposite way, rotating them backwards, and bringing the hands to rest on the thighs or knees. Next, we'll stretch out the wrists. So stretch your arm out in front of you, palm facing out, and begin to pull back on each finger one at a time while keeping your hand in the same position. Once you've done each finger on that hand, flip your hand so that the palm is facing you and repeat, pulling the fingers towards yourself for a different stretch in the forearm. Now we'll repeat on the other arm, stretching the palm out in front of you, pulling each finger back, starting with the thumb, feeling the nice stretch in the forearm. Once you're done that pinky, flip the palm so that it faces you, and starting with the pinky again, pull the fingers towards you once more. Just feeling the stretch in the top of the forearm this time. Then releasing the hands to the knees, we'll now come into wide-legged child's pose. So sitting back on your heels, spread your knees to about mat width distance apart, and on an exhale, slowly fold over your legs so that your forehead comes down towards the mat, with your arms extended out in front of you, palms on the mat. We're taking just a couple breaths here, just relaxing into the pose. Now inhale, push your hands into the mat, come into a slight tabletop, tuck your toes underneath and push your hands and feet into the mat, lifting your hips to come into downward dog. Take a couple breaths here, maybe finding movement in this pose by pedaling your heels towards the mat. And then on an exhale, lower down one elbow at a time onto your forearms for dolphin pose. Inhale, squeezing the shoulder blades together, pressing the forearms into the mat, and then exhale, lower your knees to the mat, untucking your toes and sitting back on your heels for child's pose. Allowing the neck to relax, feeling the belly push into the thighs as you inhale, and relaxing into your exhales. Now come back up to kneeling, and we're going to move into camel pose, so tuck your toes, walk your hands back behind your feet, and slowly begin pushing your hips forwards with your glutes engaged to protect the lower back. Slowly walk your hands towards your heels as much as feels comfortable for your body today, and reach your gaze upwards or forwards depending on how your neck feels. Breathe into the chest opener for 2 breaths, and then slowly lower your hands back, walking them away from your feet, coming out of the pose. Walk your hands forward on the mat again, keeping the toes tucked, and then push into the mat to come into a plank pose. Core is really strong. We're pushing into the mat with our hands, keeping our shoulders down the back. Modification would be to drop the knees down to the mat. One more breath, and then drop the heels over to the left so our body faces the right side of the room. We're resting on the sides of our feet. Inhale the right arm up, stacked over the left. One breath here. And then exhale, the right hand comes back down to the mat. We rotate back to full plank. One breath here. And then drop the heels over to the right, opening the body up to the left, lifting the left arm up, stacked over the right. One breath here. You can always modify the pose by coming onto the knees. And then exhale the left hand back down to the mat for plank pose. Come onto your knees, untuck your toes, sit back on your heels and bring the forehead towards the mat for a child's pose. Taking a couple breaths here, allowing your body to relax for a moment. And then inhaling, pushing into the mat, tucking your toes, coming back up into plank. Then keeping the elbows close to your sides, bend at the elbows to slowly lower down to the mat. Untuck your toes, bring your hands to your sides, and on an inhale, engage the core, lift the shoulders and feet off the mat as much as you can. Exhale, relax the body completely into the mat. Keep doing this in time with your own breath, really focusing on lengthening the spine by reaching the legs out, keeping the glutes engaged, and lifting your chest up and forward. Exhale into the mat. And now reach your arms forward in front of you. And inhale, reaching. Exhale, relaxing. Inhale, reaching out through the arms and legs. Exhale, relax back into the mat. One more, lifting as much as you can. And exhale, relaxing into the mat. Now walk your palms back to be underneath your shoulders and then extend your right arm out to the side. Using your right arm for balance, slowly roll so that your body's opening up to the right, giving yourself a nice stretch in that left shoulder. You can also use your right leg for balance, either bringing it forward on the mat or behind you as a kind of kickstand. Just breathing into the deep stretch in the front of the shoulder. You can keep the right palm on the mat for support, or you can find a little bit of movement in the pose, stretching further, maybe lifting the arm up, maybe opening the chest up a bit by reaching that right arm back as well. Just finding whatever movement feels good for your body today. Taking a few more breaths here. Directing the breath to the shoulder and exhaling away any tension. Now to come out of the pose, bring the right arm back to the mat beside you. Slowly use your right leg to guide your body back to flat on the mat. We'll repeat on the opposite side now, so extending the right arm out to the side, palm flat on the ground, and using the left arm to push into the mat, slowly rolling your body open to the left. You can use your left leg to guide your body into the stretch, deepening the stretch by bringing the left foot behind the right leg, and maybe deepening the shoulder stretch and shoulder opener by bringing the left arm behind your chest or even just reaching up. Breathing deeply into the right shoulder, taking a couple more breaths here. Taking a moment to notice how the right shoulder feels in this stretch compared to the left shoulder. Maybe it's more tight, or you feel like you can roll further on this side. Maybe your face can rest more comfortably on the ground than on the other side. And just notice these differences in the body, the sensations that you're feeling without judgment. And just breathing, slowing down the practice for today. Slowly begin walking that left foot forwards and rolling back down onto your belly. And then come up to a seated position to lower onto your back, or simply just roll onto your back. We'll come into our final resting pose today, which can be corpse pose with your legs stretched out, or bring the soles of the feet together to touch, to come into a reclined bound angle pose. Closing down the eyes and just allowing the legs to relax, not bringing the heels too close to the body. Just letting the knees drift towards the mat a little bit closer with each exhale. Breathing deeply into the belly, noticing every point on your body that is touching the mat. Extending the legs out into corpse pose whenever you'd like. You can stay in this pose for as long as you'd like. When you're ready to come out of the pose, just push into the mat, rolling onto your side, coming up into seated. Thank you for joining me today. Namaste.